Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about all of the matchups that we should be keeping an eye on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 12 matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's not waste any time. Let's get started talking about the first matchup that I want to highlight, which is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs offense versus this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And I don't think that it is a problem to admit that the Buccaneers defense has been very up and down the past, I want to say, 4 weeks worth of football. They've had some good moments, and I think they've had some bad moments as well. I will still say, though, they've had more good moments than bad, in my opinion, but the point is that they've still been a little bit up and down when compared to the first 7 weeks of the season, where they looked like arguably the best or second best defense in the NFL, besides maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they're going up against an insanely loaded Kansas City Chiefs offense led by quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who in my opinion is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Maybe Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, but Mahomes is so good. We all know this. You factor in other guys like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, all these weapons that the Chiefs have. It is going to be a tall task for this Buccaneers defense. If they can play like they played the first 7 weeks of the season, then this is going to be a very important matchup for this game, the most important matchup by far. And these guys do have the ability to play at that level because we saw them do it for the first 2 months of the season. And I put the defense as a whole because every single guy is going to need to show up on that Buccaneers defense with their A game. This is one of the best, if not the best team in the NFL right now. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. And the Buccaneers defense has got to be on point against a very good Chiefs offense. So I'm excited to see how they do. I think that they will perform very, very well, and that this could be just one heck of just two Clash of the Titans things. So let's see how that goes. Let's see if the Buccaneers can reach their, first or second best in the NFL caliber defense that they had for the first 2 months of the season. The second matchup I want us all to pay attention to is going to be Ronald Jones versus the Chiefs run defense. I'm looking at this Chiefs run defense, and I think that they're pretty good. The secondary we will get to in a minute, but in terms of the linebacking core, and especially more so the defensive line, they have a pretty decent group of guys there, in my opinion. Ronald Jones, he did struggle a little bit against, the previous team the Buccaneers just played, the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams have one of the better defenses in the NFL in their own right. I think they have a much better defense than, say, the Kansas City Chiefs. So I expect Ronald Jones to maybe have a bounce-back game here, both as a runner and hopefully as a receiver as well, because he has been struggling at some points with catches, a drop here, a drop there, things along those lines. So has Leonard, Fournette, among some of the other Buccaneers running backs. They've been pretty productive as runners, but in terms of receivers, they struggle with some drops from time to time. So let's see if Ronald Jones can bounce back against a Kansas City Chiefs run defense that I think is good, but they are, not as good as the Rams defense that the Buccaneers just played. So I think this will be a little bit of an easier matchup for Ronald Jones. Let's see if they can get some things going, and the Buccaneers can rely on him to set the tone for this run game and hopefully the offense as a whole. The next matchup I want to pay attention to is going to be the Buccaneers offensive line versus Chris Jones and Frank Clark, two of the best pass rushers in the NFL, both at defensive tackle and at defensive end. Those guys are really good at football, and they are both making a ton of money. The Kansas City Chiefs just continue to pull money out of places that you would not expect, I guess, and they keep on giving money to all these really good players. Chris Jones, Frank Clark just got some big extensions in their own right, and the Buccaneers offensive line has been a little bit of a rotation, especially on the interior offensive line. Donovan Smith, he may be dealing with an ankle injury. Tristan Wirfs seems to be healthy. Alex Kappa seems to be healthy. Ryan Jensen seems to be healthy, but Ali Marpet's still in the concussion protocol, and then backup center A.Q. Shipley just suffered a very, very serious injury, which I will be making a separate video about here very shortly. But they've been moving Ryan Jensen to left guard in the place of Ali Marpet, and whenever A.Q. Shipley suffered an injury versus the Rams, they moved Ryan Jensen back to center, and they put young left guard Aaron Stinney in place of Ryan Jensen, who was filling in for Ali Marpet. Does that make sense? So potentially the starting 5 offensive linemen for the Buccaneers this upcoming game could be Donovan Smith if he is fully healthy and ready to go. If not, we would expect Josh Wells to go in there, which you then have Aaron Stinney next to that. You then have Ryan Jensen at center. At right guard, you have Alex Kappa, and and at right tackle, you have Tristan Wirfs. So the offensive line is definitely banged up, and those are two guys on that Kansas City Chiefs defensive line in Chris Jones and in Frank Clark who can create a lot of disruptions. So we will see how that offensive line will hold. Hopefully they can do a very good job. Hopefully everybody can get healthy in time to play that game on Sunday. The second to last matchup I want us all to pay attention to is going to be the Buccaneers wide receivers versus the Kansas City Chiefs cornerbacks. Now, I like their safety position. Tyrann Mathieu is one of their starting safeties, and I wanted him on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not too long ago. I'm happy with who the Buccaneers ended up with, by the way. Antoine Winfield Jr. is great. I think Mike Edwards should be a starter, and Jordan Whitehead has been up and down, but I think he's had more good than bad. But in terms of other secondary members besides Tyrann Mathieu, it's kind of rough. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and Chris Godwin are going to be going up against a combination of Brashad Breeland, Shavarius Ward, as well as some other cornerbacks in that Chiefs secondary. They've lost a lot of talent. Kendall Fuller is no longer there. Marcus Peters is no longer there. Those are two extremely good cornerbacks that they lost out on, unfortunately, one way or another. And this Chiefs secondary, especially at that cornerback room, is looking a little bit lackluster. We will see what they can do to try and combat the overall ability that the top three Buccaneers wide receivers have. But this is one of those things that could turn up to be a shootout. You know, in terms of this Chiefs offense versus this Buccaneers offense. I mean, they've all got the weapons. They've both got the weapons. They've both got the quarterbacks. Let's just see who prevails here in like a 40-40 type game, you know, that being the score. So, yeah, I would definitely give the favor in this matchup to the Buccaneers wide receivers 100%. We'll see what the Chiefs can try and do to counteract the raw talent and ability that the Buccaneers have here at this wide receiver group with just their top three wide receivers alone. That's not even considering Scotty Miller, Jadon Mickens, if he does come back from the illness list, among some of these other receiving targets that they have, like Cam Brate, who's been getting going lately, like Rob Gronkowski, among other people. I just wanted to highlight the top three Buccaneers wide receivers. But finally, guys, the last matchup that I want to mention here is going to be a simple one. It is the Buccaneers coaching staff versus the Chiefs coaching staff. And this is the second game in a row where I've talked about the coaching staff versus the coaching staff, because this is another very good coaching staff that the Buccaneers are going to be going up against. And we saw Sean McVay do Sean McVay things, and the Buccaneers defense, you know, was not great in the first half of that last game, but they made some great halftime adjustments, and they did pretty good in the second half. The Buccaneers offense, I'm still seeing a lot of complaints from, for Byron Leftwich, saying his play calling is vanilla, too long-winded play calling. I've even talked about this in my most recent review in the Rams game. I've cooled down a little bit, but I am still questioning Byron Leftwich's play calling. I don't know if I think that Bruce Arians taking play calling would probably end up being much better for the Buccaneers, but I don't even think that Bruce Arians is even considering taking play calling at this point. So let's just see what happens. Andy Reid is a great offensive mind, and he's going to be going up against Todd Bowles, who in my opinion is a great defensive mind. Eric Bieniemy is a great offensive coordinator, who in my opinion is going to be an NFL head coach after this season is over. Both those guys are going to be going up against Todd Bowles. That's going to be the coaching matchup to keep an eye on. Byron Leftwich versus the Chiefs defensive coordinator, whose name cannot come to my mind right now, unfortunately, is going to be another critical matchup. Probably more critical than Todd Bowles versus Andy Reid, as well as Eric Bieniemy, because Byron Leftwich has to prove it. Byron Leftwich has to prove that he can go. I would say Tom Brady, too, needs to prove that he can improve on his deep ball. There's a lot to prove with this Buccaneers offense right now. They've got to start getting the ball rolling. They've been too inconsistent, in my opinion. I definitely think that a lot of us could agree on that this Buccaneers offense has been pretty inconsistent. At least the defense, not all the time, but they have had flashes of good play at points in games. The Buccaneers have as well, but it's too few when compared to the Buccaneers defense. So I want to see what this offense can do. I want to see them rebound after a very tough and weird game versus the Rams, where the deep ball was just not working whatsoever. I talked about that. Was it the scheme? Was it Tom Brady? Was it the chemistry? Again, it was probably a combination of all three, but that's on the shoulders of all those guys on the offense to fix that. So I'm going to be more microscoped, locked in on Byron Leftwich, Tom Brady, and just the offense as a whole to see if they can get things going. The defense, I'm not really as worried about. They are going up against a good offense, and that just is what it is, unfortunately. They're going up against the best offense in the league. That's going to be a tough matchup regardless. But I need to see this offense bounce back. I need to see this offense get some continuity going and some consistency, and that falls on, everybody but the top guy. Top two guys is Tom Brady and Byron Leftwich. So let's see what those guys can do. I think they will bounce back. And I think they will have a good game. It's just all of a matter of getting that continuity, getting that consistency after this game. But guys, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts about all the matchups that I mentioned down in the comment section below. And what do you guys think? What are some other matchups that you guys are going to be keeping an eye on? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.